Hey everyone, this is Jared from CoderComplete, and I always get the question, I've just started learning JavaScript. I know a little bit now about variables, conditionals, loops, functions, but how the heck do I put them all together in order to build something? Everyone goes through this point, so it's completely normal that you're at this point. Don't worry about it. We're going to get through it together. I see a lot of generic advice out there, and it's kind of hard to give detailed advice, but that's my goal here. I think you need to do a little bit of coding in order to really explain how to get there. So I'm going to do just that, and I'm going to share my screen now. And as you can see, we're looking at a little bit of code I have so far. I just have an HTML file, CSS file, and a JavaScript file. And you can see in my HTML file, I'm pulling in my CSS file and my JavaScript file. And all I have right now is a button. So I believe that it is easier to learn JavaScript through having HTML and CSS rather than just diving straight into the back end and trying to do like algorithm problems. I think it's much better to have some UI involved because then you have some real stuff that you're trying to accomplish that's more tangible, if you will. So you'll start to see like real applications of why we use variables for certain things, why we use loops and functions and so on. So hopefully this will be helpful to you. I'm going to open my app in live server, and my default browser is Safari, but I'm going to do it in Chrome, and actually I have it open already. And I'm going to split screen these. So, okay, as you can see, all I have is my button here. It doesn't do anything yet, and we're going to jump in. So obviously this video assumes that you know some HTML and CSS, and you know a little bit about DOM manipulation. If you don't, I recommend you just maybe quickly pop over to at least get an understanding of what those mean. But you'll see it here, and you can still understand what's going on, I think. So right now this button does absolutely nothing, but I've given it an ID. So now in my JavaScript, I can grab this button. So let's create a variable to store the button. I'm going to not use create element. I'm going to get a query selector I like to use, and then I do hashtag button. And so now let's make sure that I have this button. And there it is. So it's working. What I'm going to do, so this is how you go from not knowing how to do anything, basically, to actually building up from there. So what we want to do is give ourselves really small goals to achieve. Over time, you build so many small things that you start to realize how they can all fit into a larger thing. And I'm going to try to help with that right now, like your understanding of all that. So let's say right now, like we want to click this button and we want the screen to change color. How do we do that? Again, it's more about defining what your goal is and then figuring out how to get there than it is just like trying to code. You have to have a specific goal in mind because that's when you start problem solving for that goal. So right now the goal is, okay, I want this whole document to be blue when I click the button. So what I want to do is react to the button click by adding an event listener on the button, listening for clicks. And then when a click happens on that button, there's a function that is going to run. So right now, I'm just going to console log hi. And when I click this button, you'll see in the console, I'm console logging hi. So it's working. And basically, we can put whatever we want in this function, and it's going to happen every time the button is clicked. So let's say we want the document to be a different color. We say document.body.style.background color is equal to, let's say, blue. And there you go. Now, what if we want to change the color back to white the next time the button is clicked? Well, how do we do that? We have right now, when we click the button, it's going to set the color to blue every time. So there's obviously no logic right now switching it back to white. Similarly, if we just said white here, and every time I save, it reloads the screen, which is why it's now white, because by default, the document color is white because by default, we have no styling. My CSS file has nothing in it, so there's no styling right now on this body, on this document. So by default, the color is going to be white. So that's why when I hit save, the color is white now. But now when I click this, the color is white. It's whatever we put here, the color is going to be every time, right? So there's no logic. We need some logic to switch the background color between white and blue. So how do we do that? Well, let's think about the logic for a second here. And I'll emphasize some key words when I do it. When the background color is white, I just refreshed the page, which is why it's white now. When the background color is white, when I click this button, we want the background color to be blue. When the background color is blue, we want, and then we click the button, we want the background color to become white. So, in other words, if the color currently is white, change the color to blue. If the color currently is blue, change the color to white. So, we have to keep track of what the current color is. By default, the current color is going to be white, right? So when this function runs, we want to check what is the current color, and based on that, decide which color to now make the document. So we have to say if the current color is white, then we change the document body color to blue. So it's going to work as normal right now, and still nothing's happening when I click more because all we do is check if the current color is white, right? If the color is not white, which is the case right now, well, actually current color is white because it's a variable that never changes value, so the value is always white. So this is always going to be true, and then we're going to execute this line every time still. What we have to do is change what the current color value is to blue, right? Or I put it down there. So when I click this, we check, okay, is the current color white? Yes, it is. So I'm going to execute these lines, and it's going to change the document body color to blue and also change the current color to blue so that the next time I click the button, we're going to run this function again, and this time we can check if the current color is white, and that will be false. So we need a case to describe what happens when the current color is not white, which is the case right now. And in that case, we want to change the color back to white. And mention now that, yes, the current color is now white too. See that? So now we have it flipping back and forth. And I just want to do a quick refactor. As you can see, we are, or actually, let me put the current color before, changing the current color before changing the actual style of the page. There's nothing wrong with that. And I'm going to refactor to use current color for both of these. So notice, in the first case, the current color is blue, and then we style the background color to the current color, which is blue, right? So it's the same thing as saying blue. And same here. We say current color instead of the string white, and then we set the background color to current color, which is white. So same, it's actually doing the exact same thing. And now what you notice is lines 7 and 10 are exactly the same. So we can actually not even include them at all in the if statement and just do them after, where the purpose of the if statement is to describe what the new color is going to be, and then we put the background color of the body to that color. Okay, cool. So now we have successfully been able to do what we want to do with this button. What happens if now we want to, every time we click this button, we want to shuffle between more than two colors? We just have white and blue so far. What if we want to shuffle between every color of the rainbow, right? So how do we do that? Well, every time we click this button, something new has to happen, right? I'm going to extract this function out and call it toggle blue and white. I don't need that. Okay, toggle blue and white, and toggle blue and white. So same thing's going to happen now. I just took whatever function we had here out and gave it a name, and then I'll put that event listener down here. So now the same exact thing is happening. We're running the same exact function logic. We just extracted the function out, gave it a name, and provided the function name here instead of, just writing a function right in there. But I do want to do something different now. So now the goal is when I click this, it's going to shuffle colors, right? So how do you shuffle between, let's say, 5 colors? And specifically, I want to maintain the color order. So I want to go from red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple, and then back again, or something like that. So how do you keep that order as well? Right now we can say I don't know, red equals red, let orange equal orange. Let's do yellow, green, blue, purple. That's good enough. And I'll do white just to bring it back. I'll put that at the beginning. Red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple. So now we have our colors, right? So how do we do the logic here, right? We start with current color being white. It may or may not become useful that I made variables for all these colors, just mind you. But okay, so let's say the current color is white. So we say if current color is white, then the current color, so we can keep most of this logic actually, but we just have to expand what we're doing here. So if the current color is white, then we want to change the color to red, right? Else, if current color is red, then getting a little messed up here. Sorry. If the current color is red, then we want to change the current color to orange. Let's make this work first, and then we'll talk about how to improve this. Else if, okay, so if the current color is orange, then make it yellow. If the current color is yellow, make it green. If the current color is green, make it blue. And if the current color is blue, make it purple. If the current color is purple, make it white. Else, I don't need this one. Because I don't need the final case because purple's the last color, so if it is none of the other colors, then it is purple by default. So we don't need that case. And so now it's working. However, what if we have so many colors that this if else clause becomes extremely long? It's very inefficient. As far as code lines, the actual efficiency of the code is fine, but it's a lot of code lines just to accomplish what we're trying to do here. So, welcome to arrays. Arrays are all about keeping a list of things in order. So I never needed these variables, luckily. So white, red, orange, green, blue, purple. Okay, fix these up. Okay, so now let's try with arrays. I have an array of colors, and what I have to do basically is determine what color are we on now, and what's the next color going to be. Arrays are all about keeping the order of things. So if with arrays we have the index, right? So currently the color is white of the background, and if we look at our array of colors, the 0th index of this array corresponds with white. So we can say let current index equal 0. And now when the button is clicked, I can increase the current index by 1 and then style the background color to the colors at the current index. And now look at that, we just accomplished almost the same thing. I actually realized I have to bring the after purple, we have to get it back to white. So purple is at the 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 index, but there's nothing at 6 index. We have to get back to 0 again. So we have to say if current index is equal to colors.length minus 1. So basically the length is 6. So 5 is the last index. So basically if the current index is the last index, then we have to do current index is 0. Otherwise, we increase the index by 1 as we were doing. So now let's test this out. Okay, that didn't work. Current index is at 5, and then that should be true, and then we set equals 0, not double equals 0. Okay, so now we're back. So look how few lines we accomplished that in. Now we can have as many colors in our array as we want, and we won't have to constantly add more if-else clauses. All you have to do if you want to add more colors, just pop something else in the array. So now I want black in here, let's say. Okay, well now when we get to purple, there'll be a black and then back to white. So it's really nice thinking of refactors and things like that. And, thinking of them, by that I mean being shown them and thinking a little bit about if your code seems inefficient. Usually that's a sign that there's a better way to do things. So this should be a good introduction to how arrays can be used in your project. So now let's talk about, okay, what if we want now to be able to pick a random color rather than having a list of colors, just pick a random one. So again, I'm going to bring out this function because I'm not going to use it anymore. Let's call this list of colors, toggle color list, I don't know. And just to show you that this would work. Still good. Okay, so now I'm going to do a different function for picking a random color. So why don't we just extract it to begin with, just so you can see this different pattern. So function random color, let's call it generate random color. And that's the function that we're going to run when a button is clicked. Actually, that's not true. What I want to do is let random color equal the result of generating a random color. And then I will style the background color to be the random color. Okay, so to generate a random color, I want to do it in like a RGB way. So with colors, you can specify, a string with a color name. If it's a defined color with a name, you can do like this hash type thing, or you can do RGB, RGB, and then there's something like this. There's 3 different values. This is like the red value, the green, and the blue value. And all these numbers can be anywhere from 0 to 255. And the combination of all 3 will generate a random color, basically. So that's what I want to do. So I separate out this function because we want to randomize this number, and this number. So if you were to just go into ChatGPT and be like, how do I generate a random number between 0 and 255? Then you can just, I said JavaScript, pick random number between 0 and whatever. So this is the code that we spat out. I'm going to copy it in and then explain it. Where was I with this? Chrome and here. So this will basically generate a random number, and when you do math.random, I'll just show it in the console here, you get a number between 0 and 1 every time. That's it. That's the range, 0 to 1. So basically, the minimum value you'll get is 0. The maximum value you'll get is 1. So if you multiply this number by 5 and then round down, then let's put 255 here. Then this means that the maximum value you can get is 255, and the minimum you can get is, I think it should be math.round. You can do it either way. But I'll talk about that in a sec. But math.random just gives you 0 to 1, right? So if you multiply that by 255, then the maximum value you'll get is 255, and still the minimum value you'll get is 0. So that is how we're going to generate a number between 0 and 255. Just notice that we have a giant decimal, so we wrap all of that in math.round. So we round the result of doing this, and now you see that we just get an integer, right? Boom, boom, boom. Likes the 100s. There we go, 40. So that's close enough to what I want. So, so I'm going to have to do this for 3 different numbers. Remember RGB being the combination of 3 numbers. So now we have 3 numbers. We can return a string, basically. So this is called string interpolation. There's another way you can build a string with variables, but I'm just going to do it this way. So this is a little syntax for you. And we just want the first number, second number, third number. So what we're returning is RGB, the string RGB, and then 1 number, comma, 2, a second number, third number. So it's going to look something like RGB 2, 2, 2, 1, and 22 or something. So that's what we're returning essentially. And so that's going to generate a color, and then set the background color to that. Let's see if it works. All right, so now it's completely random colors, and it will never stop. Okay, so that I wanted to do this to show you that you can have functions that call other functions. That shows you how to extract other functions. I could have had these lines of code right here and said let random color equal this, but sometimes bits of logic should be separated out so it's more readable. Right? Like if you had a lot of instructions that you wanted to run when a button is clicked, then doing every single instruction directly in that one function, the click handler function we call it, then this function can be quite long, and then when you're trying to debug it, it might be kind of difficult to look at what's going on. You might forget what the purpose of, everything that was going to happen when you click that button is. So now I've made a function called generate random color. So it's very clear when I look at, okay, if I'm just looking here, like, okay, this is the button I have. I'm debugging what's going on with this button. So what happens when I click this button? Oh, I see. We generate a random color, and then we style the background color with it. So it's like really easy to look at this. And so like this function will be a lot shorter than having every single instruction directly in it. And then you can figure out which instruction within this function is the problem, and then you can go to like the function. So let's say there was a problem with the colors, but this button did other stuff too. But if there's a problem with the colors specifically that you want to change, then you can quickly see, okay, we're doing something with colors, and then you can go to this function, and then with those lines, figure out what was going on and tweak whatever behavior you want. Okay, so that is functions, that is if statements, that's arrays. So like a little bit more about data types. I just wanted to show you kind of how you go from one goal to the next goal to the next goal, just to find every little thing you want to do. Everything's possible, so just start small. Be like, change the color. Okay, now change between 2 colors. Okay, now make a random color. And I'll give you examples of how you can do this with other stuff too. But that's a general approach that you want to follow. And over time, through solving all of these, you'll start to realize more how you use functions and variables and data types and conditionals and loops and everything. So I want to end with just how you can generate more of these small ideas for yourself. So we did changing colors, but you can also change text. So let's say you have a piece of text on the screen. Doesn't matter what it is, you have a paragraph. Now make a button that when you click that button, it changes the boldness of the paragraph text or the size or it puts everything in all caps or it changes the color of the text. You know, there's so many different buttons you can do to customize text. You can add words at the end of the text. You can cut out certain words from the paragraph. So you can have a whole paragraph, try to write a function that, or try to code that, you know, it'll take out the word dog from the paragraph, all the instances of the word dog, you know, things like that. And then you have lists, right? So you can just create like a bulleted list and then have buttons that will add a new thing to the list, remove something from the list. If you click things on the list and have it like strike through the text, all kinds of stuff. You can, so there's something called cards, which I pulled up a Airbnb tab just to kind of allude to this. So like each one of these in UI terms would be considered a card. So you can, uh, you know, experiment with creating cards that, you know, you have, you know, each card has an image, a title, or a location, a distance, a date, price, a heart in the corner, whatever you want, and experiment with just adding um, a new card to the screen with all the new information just from one button click. Add a completely new card with a new image and title and everything. Um, that's where objects will come in a little bit. And then from there, you know, you've um, experimented making more and more complicated things over time. And, you know, you could also just go to a website and be like, okay, I just want to, you know, just create this UI here where I have this input bar, I have stays experiences, online experiences, and when I click experiences, I want this to change. So clearly we had check in, check out, but when I click experiences, I want it to change to date. That's something else. So like just create this UI alone. No functionality needed at first, but just create that little thing. Uh, just make something when you click it pop up like that. Okay. So there's a lot of small little ideas that you can do to improve your abilities with you know, through doing stuff in the UI, you can directly see the results of what you're doing. You can directly define what your goal is if you want to, you know, lay something out for yourself before doing it. That could help you with clarity. And that's how you generate a lot of little ideas that you can try. And before you know it, you're cloning websites and you're making them interactive. And then from there, you use APIs to pull in data to pull in data in order to make websites. So there's a lot of different free APIs out there where you can just make an API request, receive some data, and using that data, generate an API. So, sorry, generate a UI. So there's so many different things to try. Little things that all have they're very small, very easy, and you just build up from there, basically. Um, yeah, so that's everything I want to say. I'm happy to show you more coding examples on how to scale up from small to bigger. I talked about cards and things and using APIs, so I'm happy to make videos showing you how to do the same thing I just did here with those. So let me know in the comments if you want to see that or anything else. I'm happy to make videos regarding any topic that's, you know, giving you difficulty. So hopefully you found this video useful. I think it's a really helpful video for beginners trying to get over that hump of putting things together. So I ask you, please share this with other people who will find it useful because I think it'll be useful for everyone. So for everyone starting out. So I hope you liked it. Thank you very much. Like, follow, subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.